Hey, good morning. My name's Eric. I'm making a game. The game is called Godkiller. I've actually got a fairly busy day. I'll need to leave my house in about an hour. So I'm going to try to go real fast on this one. Get one session in, and I've got a bunch of errands to do today. Which is unfortunate, but they're things I got to take care of, Otherwise, they just pile up and I'll get dragged down by them. So let's do a quick demo. So I started on one thing in last night's session, and it's actually surprisingly difficult. Let me see. Let me look at my code. Okay, first I'll show the before. All right, there's a face that will appear above the player when M is talking. I did fix the colors on this. Let me turn on maximize so you can see it a little bit better. I've had two sets of melanin problems with M. This is her correct coloring. The first problem, she was all pale white, and that wasn't the right skin color. And then she was oversaturated, and I thought it was due to a post-processing of the UI graphics that were here. Since I've got a post-processing layer on all this other stuff that brings the saturation up, I thought it was doing the same thing to the graphics here, but it turned out all I need to do is just set the import settings on the texture so that they didn't use sRGB, which I know nothing about. It's just a setting to me, but fix that. So the other thing I wanted to do last night that I didn't get done because it turned out to be hard is set alpha translucency on this whole image here. There is a seemingly simple way to do that. You can you call it draw texture. You can set a render color that has alpha. The trouble is her face is put together by using different parts in different places. So her so inarticulate right when I start. Anyways, because she's put together with these different parts with a series of blits or pixel copies, if each copy is translucent, then you get overlap between the different parts, visual overlap. So a way to get around that is to split all the parts that make up her face into one intermediate texture, and then finally split that texture to the screen. That almost worked, but the problem is that if I have multiple blits into the buffer like this, it's going to overwrite the previous blit, because this copy texture function, which is quite performant, doesn't have anything where it'll say if the source pixels are translucent, combine them with the destination pixels. It kind of makes sense that it wouldn't. I mean, if I had a default behavior to it, I'd want the default behavior that this does have already, but it left me without being able to do that. And I did find a way to do it using this set pixels function, but get pixels and set pixels they tank the frame rate. I went from 500 frames per second to 50. Not good. Not good. So I do not want to use get pixels and set pixels to do 2D faces on the screen. It would be kind of ridiculous if, with everything else that's going on in the game that works very performantly, that suddenly we crawl to a snail's pace when 2D characters talk on the screen, circa 1995. So no, I definitely do not want to use those approaches I found last night. There is one other way. There's probably more than one other way. One other way that is clear to me now, which is combine copy texture with a shader. I think there's another method called blit, which implies that a shader will be used. Anyways, I would use a shader to perform that addition of pixels together. But I'm not going to do that in this session. I need to do something quick. Something quick. So I can, finish it up inside the session. And then I'll come back to this. Anything where I have to do a shader is going to take me a long time. So I'm not good at shaders. Okay, so the thing I'm going to try to do is make a small change to subtitles where there's a visual gap from one subtitle to the next. Here, let me put this back. It's not showing anything interesting. My name for functions that are for update functions that are not called by Unity mono behavior, but just are explicitly called by the main update loop instead, but they behave the same way as update. Okay, so we need some state. Let me just make some better words using gap. Okay, there's a thing here where I might want to take out this, maybe. I'll leave it for now. I was thinking maybe a character might say the same word twice. Like the two lines might be the same and then I might want a gap in between, but for now I'll just leave it. Okay. True. Okay, we'll put a gap, but only if the previous line was set. So we'll say is gap equals true, gap, start gap time, equals time now, right now. And then we need one more next text. I think I might get rid of this hex color thing. I'm gonna revise that anyways. Okay. I guess let's okay. So then on explicit update, we say that if we're in the gap, let's see, const float gap duration equals, let's do 1/4 of a second just to make it real, maybe half a second to start, just to make it real obvious so I can at least test it. Time minus start gap time is greater than gap duration. This gap equals false. Okay, this must be public. Just want to see who is calling this. Okay, that makes some sense. Okay, does speech have an update to it? Yeah, it does. Okay. So this is a good place for me to just add in the subtitle pane explicit update. There we go. Okay. I'm going to try that. And it's not going to work very well, but I mean, there's no subtitles on this level. But if I go to a different level, it might work just fine. Oh, if I fix all my compiler errors, it might work just fine. Okay, that's that line. Get rid of this. I think I might as well save this scene and go to one that has got subtitles in it. So let's go to Little Arena. So the idea of that gap is that you'll be more likely to notice that text has changed if there's that gap there. Instead of just changing the text to whatever the new text is, you very briefly don't show any text, then you show the text. Okay, here we go. Looks like there's an issue of some sort. Okay, so the new code is doing something. It didn't really regress. But I don't know, I didn't see much of a delay there. Half a second, I would have thought that's pretty substantial. I could do a 1 second delay. It might be something along the lines of the text being so short, like they're already, like a half second is so long that by the time another line is trying to be shown, it's just not even, like it's waiting too long. Like in that gap, another line's coming in and it's resetting the gap again and again. So let me set it down lower. Let's try 0.2 of a second. So we say if is gap and the elapsed time is greater than the gap duration. Okay, there's that. I think I also forgot. I need to clear out the text. So let's go up here and clear the text. Yeah, definitely need to do that. Not quite the effect I wanted. I can see why. So set line's getting called repeatedly, and because I'm clearing it, it's not treating this as, hey, Razaphone. Fair warning, I'm going to be on here for just some minutes. If I take off in a hurry, I don't want you to think it's because of you. Yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. But I understand why. I understand. It's, let's say, so normally it would, when it calls set line, and the text is equal to what was already set, it'll just return. But there's this other case where it's in the gap. So let's say if is gap or that, just don't do anything, just let it be. And then I bet you it works. I say this is a 93% chance of working. Razaphone, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. Not that that's a bad thing. It's a zero guilt establishment. Oh, now there's like no subtitles at all. Not really, it's just a joke. Okay. Okay, so the subtitles do pop up, but they're mostly not there. Like the gap is larger than the time the subtitle is on screen. Man, this is like not going as well as other quick little changes I made have gone. Yeah. Well, sleep is important. So let me see. So I'm saying I'm good. Today I would love to just be working on my game all day, but I've got like a few things I've got to run off and do. So I'm making sure I get in my progress for the day, and then I'll be getting some new glasses and cleaning my house. So I'm like mildly bummed that I won't get to work on my game all day. Alright, what does the line say? Yeah, this is fine. Explicit update should be... Sorry, and that is false. Maybe a year. What am I missing? This stuff with the timing is a little hard to debug. Thanks, man. I will get it done. There's no question about that. Could it be the set active? I don't think that's going to mess it up. So it'll say if the line was set, then the gap is true. Clear out the text. It's doing that. It's setting the start of the gap. My gap duration is really very short. Maybe this should be greater than equal. That won't matter. I know one thing that might be causing it. If I go back to speech, so this I put in a weird spot. I put it way down here. Yeah, okay, so there's some stuff that exits out early. Let's just not. Let's not wait all the way down there. So we'll say, in fact, I'll even put it independent of this call. So who's calling you? Probably main object. Yeah, okay. And try that. Jesus Christ. What the hell? Okay, so it is like blinking on and off for... Man, that's really annoying. When you try to do something that should be super easy and it doesn't, it's almost because I think it's going to be easy that causes it to get all screwed up. Because I just sort of rush through things that I should think about just a little bit longer, maybe. All right. You set the line. If the text you pass is equal to text that was already there, return. If it's a gap, return. Otherwise, see if the line was already set. Okay, then we set the start gap time. We set the text that will appear there after the gap. We clear the text and return. Okay, is there a way that this comes in here during the gap? It might be that set line is getting called right after yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, you did one thing that I think is right, which is one thing I try to do, is you ask some questions. That's real important, because with people that you're mentoring, if you just try to get all the stuff that's in your head into their head, a lot of times, particularly people that are new, they kind of nod along, yeah, and they might even think that they're listening and understanding, or they maybe they don't, and they're kind of afraid. So keep on doing the thing where you ask questions. Another thing is to kind of structure it so that that some of the things that they do to figure out how they're going to do their work are written down. So if you talk to somebody and you say, how would you do this? And then right on the spot, they don't really know. you could instead say, okay, here's the problem. Could you write down one page how you would refactor, this function so it would work in a different module, for example? And then you ask them, just say, like, very briefly, what are the changes you'd make? Which lines of which modules would you update? Things like that. So if you give them the parameters of the problem to solve, and ask for them to, like, walk away and come back with it written down how they're going to do it, that's one helpful tool. I'm not saying you always want to do that, but if you have somebody who it's sort of hard for them to come up with solutions when you ask them questions, if you instead give them a chance to walk away and figure it out and come back to you, that may help. You want to understand pretty well where they're at. Like, before you give them advice, you want to be able to know, like, here's what they actually know. So you know what their weaknesses are, and, like, where they're likely to mess up, where they're likely to need guidance. That also helps because sometimes the person you're coaching or mentoring, the stuff you're telling them, they might already know, and it bothers them that it could bother them that you're trying to teach them stuff that they already know, right? So it's a good idea to figure out, like, what are their weak points, what are their strong points. Like, you might even want to forget about the task that they're supposed to help you on for a moment and just take a half hour or so to talk to them about what work they've done before, things like that. The other thing that helps is you set a regular meeting, like a daily meeting, so that you always have, like, this structure. Like, you say, we'll meet each day at 9 a.m. and you can set that time to be a half hour or an hour, but to have some kind of structure there is helpful. Yeah, I don't think it works very well to be right next to them all the time. I think there's a good thing about limited accessibility, like a lot of accessibility that's available to them, but have many periods of time where they're just on their own working without your help. So it shouldn't feel like it's hard to get help from you, but it shouldn't feel like you're there all the time to provide help either. I don't know. I said a whole bunch of stuff at you. I'll be quiet and I'll give you a chance to respond if you want, or ask about anything else. Yeah, that seems to be valuable. I mean, he can come to you then, right? But what I'm saying is, like, if you're both just, like, working together all the time, it's maybe less likely that he's going to be able to grow as well. So it's almost like you want to be available, but just not right next to him. Maybe don't sit right next to him, or don't have a habit of like every time that the person wants to ask a question, you're right there. So it's better like if the person just spends a little bit of individual effort trying to figure it out, maybe composes the question that they would ask you a little bit. So either thing can be bad. One is like there's not enough help that you give them. Two is there's too much help you give them, or you're just always available. So you want the right balance between the two. And if he's really stuck, then he should be able to talk to you. But it's okay to be stuck for a little bit too, you know. Sometimes your best thought is done while you're stuck. I mean, I don't know how many times I've gone onto Stack Overflow and started typing a question, and like then I refine my question, and I don't even have to post the question on Stack Overflow because I did some work to kind of figure out what was the actual problem in typing up the question. So it's the same sort of thing with people that are being mentored. Yeah, I'd take a look at maybe how much time you're spending with him now as a guide to how long you want that meeting to be and how often. But say you're spending half your day talking to him now, then I'd make that meeting, that daily meeting, I'd make it maybe an hour, or I try an hour. If it's more like you're spending a couple hours talking to him, then maybe make it a half-hour meeting, and he can still come to you outside that time. But it's good to kind of have a recurring session at one time during the day. All right, man. I gotta. I wish you luck on it. I mean, I think it's pretty rewarding doing the whole mentoring thing. There's a guy at my company that went through 2 internships, and I got to mentor him on one of them. And now he's like an employee at the company, and he's like got his first promotion and everything. It's really cool, you know. All right, I'm gonna take off here. I gotta get ready to go to get some new eyeglasses. But I'll catch you later, Rosaphone. Nice talking to you. All right, see ya. Stopping the stream. You bet. Stopping the stream now.